Welcome to Naked 307 with Steve and Dana Groman, and we are continuing our tour along the Montana Dinosaur Trail. It is a great trip for sure. Today we have 2 stops in the small town of Malta. Our first museum is the Phillips County Museum. It shares a parking area and is just adjacent to the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum and Field Station, and that will be our second stop today. But first, the Phillips County Museum. At that museum, you can pose by the 700-pound Apatosaurus femur, which you did.
I did do that. It was a real femur, not just a cast.
Right. It's one of those rare times that the actual one is there. And you can view the first 3-dimensional articulated hadrosaur ever recovered. Other exhibits include pioneer and gun displays, making this a worthwhile stop. And I was really intrigued by this. I guess it's a mineralized rifle?
Right. Mineralized water drips on the rifle in this case and encases it.
It's really fascinating. These museums are both seasonal, as are a lot of things in the northern states. And Montana is a northern state. Although we're looking at the dinosaur things and mainly focusing on that, we'd never seen this type of thing. So that was an extra for that Phillips County Museum.
The fossil rifle, fossil bottles, fossil Coke cans, and fossil still is a fossil, but it is water dripping on it. It's not turned to stone.
It's just encased. They had this Apatosaurus femur that we were talking about, and it says this thing weighs 700 pounds. That's heavy. It's a big rock, isn't it?
It is a big rock.
Because these bones are changed into rocks, and that's what makes them a fossil. But it came from a 70-foot-long, 30-ton Apatosaurus. The other intriguing thing at this place is Elvis. In June of 1996, Jack Horner, who he is one of the most famous paleontologists in the world, we will be going to his museum where he is the curator in Bozeman. Horner and his graduate students from the Museum of the Rockies and an international team of paleontologists converged on the Elvis site. For a 2.5-week period, they suffered through unusually cold, wet conditions with mosquitoes galore. As they uncovered the specimen, their anticipation grew. What kind of hadrosaur was it? Would it be complete, fully articulated? Without the skull, it would be like reading a mystery with the last pages missing, never knowing who done it. However, the mystery was solved. The Brachiosaurus. Oh, I can't even say that. Can you say that? Brachiosaurus was removed and taken to the Museum of the Rockies for preparation and study. It was returned to the Phillips County Museum in the summer of 2001, and many times they are returned to the county museum where they are, but many of the special things that have been found in Montana, Horner is a part of it, and it does go to the Museum of the Rockies for him to work on. Next, we popped over to the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum and Field Station. We enjoyed speaking with the resident paleontologist. She was very kind and walked us around a lot of the displays. This place had some incredible sea life fossils. Some of the most beautiful
amazing.
We had ever seen.
And a lot of them.
Yeah, just incredible. And as I said here, extraordinary fossils are presented in the old school display cases, including a sauropod vertebrae, fossilized dinosaur skin, and gorgeous world-class sea life fossils. They also have a sauropod named Ralph. Why would you name a sauropod Ralph?
There's no telling.
Well, they do tell us. It was named after the man who homesteaded the land where the specimen was found. That makes sense. As scientists study Ralph, they are considering it to be a new species, since it has several characteristics that are vastly different from other known sauropods, such as the V-notch on the top of the dorsal vertebrae is narrower than other species of sauropods. And that's kind of a common statement, is it? They're always wanting to come up with something new.
New species.
We don't think that, do we?
No, they come up with them all the time. There's just variation within the created kind.
The skull of Ralph is high and spaciously designed. I bet God designed Ralph's head just like it's supposed to be, don't you think?
Good chance.
They call him the mystery sauropod. As you read these signs, you can see that they don't have explanations for a lot of things, but we enjoy going there just to see these incredible specimens. But the museum's claim to fame is a mummified dinosaur. You want to tell us about this mummified dinosaur?
Yeah, Leonardo is his name. Completely mummified. Much of the internal organs and the skin and the throat, world-renowned, really. But even bacteria in the gut.
They said this about Leonardo, the mummy dinosaur. In 2000, a very unique dinosaur specimen was found just north of Malta, and that's why it is at the Museum of Malta, because he was found not far away. Named Leonardo after a man who had carved carved his name in some nearby rock. This remarkable dinosaur has fossilized skin tissue, over 90% of his body, complete with scales and wrinkles.
It's fascinating.
It's wonderful.
It was beautiful.
Leonardo has been extensively studied by countless scientists from many different scientific fields. I bet it has. And that was one of the highlights of our Montana dinosaur tour, was
We were
to
not
see
expecting that.
Leonardo. And they do have what's in Leonardo's stomach, pollen samples, and all these different things that they found in his gastric tract. And that's probably pretty rare, isn't it, to be able to do that?
It's the only one like that. It's extremely rare.
But this was a very good museum. It's a double hitter.
And that's what we talk about. When you see a little museum, even if it's no bigger than your house or half the size of your house, it is worth stopping in. You never know what you're going to see.
We also saw Roberta, and Roberta came with some fossilized skin. Finding signs of skin on dinosaurs in the Judith River Formation is common. This photo is of Roberta's arm taken at the time of the excavation. You can see scales across the bone. This skin is preserved on the underside of her arm and is still covered by the plaster jacket. If Roberta has been laying there in the Montana desert in some dirt for millions and millions of years, how would you expect her skin to remain, that they could detect it was her fossilized skin?
Obviously verifies it's not very old. Same kind of thing as salt. They say salt's been laying out there for millions and millions of years, and there's an expiration date when you buy it.
Go looking when you buy some Himalayan salt. See if there's an expiration date on that. How can that be if they're claiming it, how old it is? I don't think salt can expire. It might get ruined.
I guess it's 16 million years and 12.
I guess. December
31st.
Crazy. Just crazy. As I've said in many other nuggets, you just sometimes need to put on your thinking cap. And this was one interesting statement. It can be difficult to determine how or why a dinosaur died. Paleontologists must closely examine not only the dinosaur's bones, but also the area around the animal. The study of an animal's death is called taphonomy. This brings up the main topic of why we do this nuggets. It's the worldview.
Correct. And most people get the opposite worldview as the Christian worldview constantly.
And that's why we devoted our life to creation versus evolution. Our next stop will be at the H. Earl Clark Memorial Museum and the Pine Butte Swamp Preserve. You can partner with us on a monthly or one-time basis if you appreciate these videos, and the links are in the description below. Our YouTube channel is Steve Groman. Be sure to hit the notification bell to be alerted when we post new nuggets and Saturday history and travel tips. And if you appreciate our content, tell others and repost on your social platforms. Thank you!